Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava, page 7a, part 2, with the words Tanu Rabbanon. Tanu Rabbanon, the sages taught in Braita to Sefta 1:8. In a case where two people, a creditor and a debtor, are grasping a promissory note, and the creditor says the promissory note is mine, and the debt has not yet been repaid, and I merely dropped it, and I subsequently found it, and the debtor says the promissory note was once yours. In other words, you lent me the money, but I already repaid you, and you therefore gave me the note. In that case, the promissory note must be ratified through its signatories for the creditor to collect the debt. In other words, the court must first ascertain the validity of the promissory note by verifying that the signatures of the witnesses are authentic. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, the creditor and the debtor divide the debt attested to in the promissory note. That is, in other words, the debtor is liable to pay half the amount due to the uncertainty as to who is telling the truth. If a promissory note fell into the possession of a judge, and the two parties do not agree as to which of them it belongs, either to the creditor and the debt has yet to have been repaid, or to the debtor and the debt was already repaid, it may never be removed from the judge's possession to collect the debt until proof is provided. Rav Yossi says the promissory note retains its presumptive status of validity, and the litigants proceed in accordance with its contents. The Gemara discusses the Braita. The master said that the promissory note must be ratified through its signatories. And does this indicate that once it is ratified, the creditor collects the entire debt? But doesn't Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi hold, in accordance with the halacha taught in the Mishnah, with regard to two people holding a garment, that they divide the garment? Here too, each party should be entitled half the promissory note, and the debtor should therefore be obligated to pay only half the debt. Rava says that Reb Nachman says, in a case where the promissory note was ratified by the court, everyone agrees that the litigants divide it, and the debtor repays only half the debt. They disagree with regard to a case where it was not ratified. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi holds that even when a debtor admits that he wrote a promissory note, the creditor must ratify it in court in order for the creditor to collect the debt. And therefore, if he ratifies the promissory note in court, he divides it with the debtor. And if he does not ratify it, he does not divide it with the debtor. If he is unable to ratify the signatures of the witnesses, he receives nothing, even if the debtor admits that he borrowed the money. What is the reason for Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi's opinion? He holds that an unratified promissory note is merely a shard. Who renders this document a valid promissory note? The debtor does. The validity of the note is solely dependent on the corroboration of the debtor, and doesn't the debtor say that the debt mentioned in the promissory note was repaid? Therefore, the note is worthless unless it is ratified by the witnesses in court. And Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel holds that if a debtor admits that he wrote a promissory note, the creditor is not required to ratify it in court in order for the creditor to collect the debt. And therefore, even if the creditor does not ratify it, the promissory note is valid and they divide it. It is taught in Braita that if a promissory note fell into the possession of a judge, it may never be removed from his possession until proof is provided.